Well, welcome everybody. It's our regularly scheduled every month salon, which is always on the second Friday of the month. And normally we would be in the Peace Pentagon, but unfortunately due to COVID, we've gone to the Zoom format. Because I know a couple of you are new to the salon. I'll also mention, if you were listening to any of the conversation beforehand, that this is also the church for our intentional community, which is called the Valley of Light. So it's both our spiritual focus within the community, and we do open it up to the public. So welcome everybody. Tonight we have a really special guest speaker. Her name is Salua Rivero. She recently graduated with a degree in environmental studies from New College in Florida. She's originally from Colombia, the country in South America, and she's passionate about holistic healing, community, and eco-spirituality. And tonight she's going to be discussing healing plants and specifically the indigenous Cacao Ceremony of the Sierra Nevada mountains in South America. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Salua, and we'll sit back and listen to her presentation, and then we'll have a discussion.
Beautiful. All righty. Hello, everybody. So I'm really happy to be here. I love talking about this subject that I'm about to talk about, and I really do like doing this in person usually. I also have been I started doing cacao ceremonies maybe just about a year ago, actually, just exactly about a year ago. And it really just sort of happened the way that I started doing cacao ceremonies and started getting introduced to cacao. And I knew the minute that I started doing it with my community and getting my community together in a circle and in a group with the intention of healing, I knew that this was something that I really wanted to do and continue sharing. So basically, I just want to start with the fact that I studied a little bit of ethnobotany in school. So I studied already the relationship between plants and people, and I became really interested mostly in the kind of symbiotic relationship that we have with plants. We use plants for so many ways, in food and medicine, in shelter, in building, and all sorts of ways we use plants. So I became really interested in this relationship we have with them. And I became specifically interested in plant medicines and how we use them for medicine, for spiritual, emotional, and physical support. So I got into cacao mostly because I was sort of just introduced by it. And the minute I heard about cacao and how it is a heart medicine, I just became really infatuated with it, and I want to learn more. And I want to talk a little bit also about my background in kind of this world of like indigenous medicine as well, because I just got into all of this recently. And I'm going to talk a little bit about community healing and ancestral healing, because it really all relates together. And I want to talk about how I use cacao for that community and ancestral healing. So as you heard, I was born in Colombia, and that is a really big part of my story and how I got here, except I didn't know that until about last year when I decided to do my undergraduate thesis on the indigenous communities of Colombia in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And I decided to study them because I wanted to study something close to home. I wanted my undergraduate thesis to be more personal than just academic. So I went to Colombia for 2 months, and I went to interview the communities, and I went to their villages, and I got to talk to them. I got to visit their sacred huts. I got to just sort of witness how they live and they shared their philosophies with me. They really welcomed me. And so that summer is when I realized how disconnected I was from my roots and from my ancestors, because I guess growing up in Colombia, I didn't really feel connected to the modern culture. I wasn't really into, like, there was just this disconnect of Colombia, I just didn't really see the rich culture that Colombia, my country, had until like last year when I visited the indigenous communities, because I just didn't resonate with the modern culture. And I realized how much I resonated more with the indigenous culture and philosophy. So I was really intrigued by that. And I studied actually the coca plant, and I studied the impacts that the globalization of the coca plant has had on the indigenous communities due to the the way that we turned this sacred plant, coca, into a destructive drug of cocaine. And so I studied that because I was really just intrigued by how we could turn this beautiful sacred healing plant into something so destructive in this modern world. So that was what my thesis was about, but that really also brought me closer to my roots. And I think ever since then is when I started my own personal journey on healing my own ancestral trauma and this generational cycles that are just embedded in my family due to where we come from and all of that. So that's kind of how I got into all of this whole subject. So I'm not an expert in any of this. I can't say that I'm a psychologist or that I know how to heal people from ancestral trauma, but I can speak from experience and from what I'm just passionate about, which is bringing all of these different kind of subjects of plant medicines and community healing and ancestral healing all together. And the way that I found to do that is through cacao ceremonies and plant medicine ceremonies. So that's a little bit about how I got into all of this. And basically I wanted kind of to define ancestral healing or ancestral trauma and what it really is. And it's kind of hard to explain, but it basically shows up in many different ways, such as basically maybe some trauma from like maybe from certain countries have a lot of trauma regarding colonialism and oppression, and that is basically where it really all starts. And we pretty much all have some sort of connection to the oppression and that has happened to our people and our ancestors in the past. In every single country has some sort of, I guess you could call it, baggage regarding our history. So that's pretty much where I could say that it starts, but we can all relate to that as well. Whether we come from a lineage of Native American people who have been oppressed in the past, or whether we come from maybe a colonialist background or history, whatever it is, we have some sort of kind of trauma regarding that. And it's kind of also really important to know where we come from, where our ancestry is from, where what our culture is, and kind of know the history of how we got to be where we are, what our ancestors went through for us to be where we are now. So that is kind of what a way to think of it that relates to all of us, because it is connected to land, and the land that we live in, and the land that we were born in, and the land that our parents were born in, and all of that. And other ways that ancestral trauma or healing can show up is that it's a kind of like, when you think of repeating patterns in our lives that we don't know where they come from or why we deal with these certain issues, such as issues relating to money or self-worth or suffering, or dealing with certain painful emotions that maybe were passed down from our parents. It could be, and when I mean ancestors, I also mean basically like our parents as well, and our grandparents. It can be as simple as just our lineage that we can think of, our grandparents and all of that. Basically thinking of what they went through, maybe what they lacked when they were alive, when they were during their lifetime. Maybe like the pain they have endured. Like, for example, for me, I do come from an immigrant family who came from Colombia. I'm the first kind of generation of my family to be in the US. My whole family is from Colombia. So just to come from that lineage where we completely moved and are immigrants to this country, that itself, there's this whole storyline that is created regarding where we're from and all of that. So that's kind of a little, just to connect with how we all have some sort of connection to that ancestral trauma that can be manifested in many different ways. So yeah, and that's basically something that we can all relate to and have some sort of connection to. So, and one other thing, so I want to then take it to talking about how I've connected all of this ancestral healing talk and subject to my ceremonies and when I do ceremonies here in Sarasota. So I want to talk a little bit about cacao then, and I've learned a lot about cacao the past year, and I've learned about the spiritual, emotional, and physical benefits of cacao, and it just you know, I use it almost every day now for that reason, because cacao is considered a superfood. Not only does it provide a lot of vitamins and nutrients and antioxidants for your body, it's just a kind of supplement, I guess you could say, that you want to kind of use every day. And the very important thing to remember about cacao, that it will only it will only serve you as a medicine when it's in its raw form. So you want to get raw, unprocessed cacao paste, and cacao itself and cacao ceremonies did start in, I would say, I believe it was about Central America, like in Mexico, and then it actually did move more towards South America, towards Colombia, Brazil, and all of these places. So that's kind of a little bit of the history of what I've learned about cacao. And I really found out how much it is much of this very heart opener medicine, very beautiful to use for emotional healing. And I've kind of seen how that that kind of shows up when I do cacao ceremonies. And you can see people after they drink cacao just open up more, just they feel more, usually feel more comfortable. It actually does help calm your nerves a little bit, while at the same time providing some form of energy and mood enhancement. And so when you like take this warm, like sweet, I don't make it sweet all the time. It depends how you make it and how you cook it and all of that. But basically, when you're in a group and you all drink this, I call it like an elixir, and then we go around the circle and we set our intentions, and then we give gratitude for whatever it is that we want to say gratitude for, and everybody gets a chance to speak during that while we're drinking the cacao. There's just this I feel like the circle, we just all feel more connected already just by expressing a little bit of ourselves just in the first 20 minutes of the ceremony. And that's how I started. And then from there, the cacao ceremonies are just, it's wherever people want to take it. And you'll see that things do come up for people that they want to express, or someone resonates with what someone said and they want to have a conversation about that, or people just are interested in being more vulnerable than with a group of strangers. I've done cacao ceremonies with groups of strangers where people have ended up crying because they never thought they'd be so vulnerable in front of this group of strangers. So to me, I've seen people just be more open and more comfortable expressing themselves. So that's what this medicine really is for. I think that we should be more open to having these kinds of conversations, you know, when it comes to talking about ancestral healing. It's a really heavy subject. It can be heavy for some people to think about, especially if they do have a trauma that they haven't been able to work fully with. And the way I see it is that we have gotten to a place where we don't have to do all of our healing alone. Now we are kind of opening up to doing healing or thinking of healing as a community effort where we can help each other out and support each other into being the best version of ourselves that we can be. And that's how I see cacao ceremonies helping each of us individually, because we are in this circle and we have the intention of being there to support each other. And some of the other things that I've learned about cacao are that the heart medicine, any kind of heart medicine right now in these times is really important. mostly because we're so detached from, not most, but most people are detached from their emotions and how to feel emotions in a healthy manner. So for me, when I drink cacao, and I drink cacao whenever I need to process a certain emotion and I want to process it in a healthy manner, and I want to sit with the emotion, I want to express it, I want to write about it or talk about it. So I think that for me, cacao is just the kind of medicine that reminds us to just know how to sit with our emotions and how important our emotional health is in navigating life in general. And emotions are something that also ties us all together. We all deal with emotions on the daily. And I think it's important to continue having these difficult or vulnerable conversations, because we can't hide that anymore. We all have something from our childhood, or we've all dealt with something that has made us who we are to this day. So the more we open conversation about this, the more we can just expedite this healing process. So that's kind of something I've been learning about cacao, and that's why I want to continue sharing this medicine. But it really isn't just about cacao. It really is just about getting together in a group, as a group, with that intention. And that's kind of what I've learned also creates a ceremony. I've been getting really interested in ceremonies and rituals, and just sort of bringing that into my everyday life. Even just waking up in the morning, I've made a ceremony out of everything that I do now. And the only thing that differentiates everyday life and a ceremony is the intention behind it. And then and that has been really important to me to also connect with my ancestry. The more I do ceremonies and the more I do rituals, the more I feel like I am connecting with my ancestors, and the more I can call on their wisdom and what they have to offer to me in this moment. And another reason that I think doing this kind of work is important is because the more that we do ancestral healing in this lifetime, and the more we talk about it, the more the future generations are going to have a just more easeful life, or just go through life more effortlessly, because we are teaching them we're teaching the next generation what we've learned. We're going through it so that they don't have to go through it. And I think about that in children, and I think about how much the children are our future. So I think a lot about teaching children from a young age how to deal with their emotions in a healthy manner. And I recently also read this quote that I really like. Says, we are the living dreams our ancestors had, and had to suffer to accomplish. So I think a lot about what Native Americans had to go through to survive back those many years ago, and how our lives are way different now than they were so long ago. So I think a lot about what our ancestors did for us. And it's really important to me now in ceremonies to thank my ancestors, because we wouldn't be here talking about this, talking through this technology without them and what they went through for us. So it's really kind of empowering to think about the fact that we are the living embodiment of what our ancestors dreamed. So whatever dreams we may have right now about building this new earth or building a better way of living, I mean, just the fact that we're dreaming about this now gives me hope that we will be giving this to our future generations by us doing the work right now in this lifetime. So I really like that idea, because this kind of work is really, really powerful. And that's another kind of little thing that I've been, I guess, understanding as well, is that you don't really have to do much to do ancestral healing. I think that just by you being yourself and living your life the way that you are living itself is healing itself to your ancestral roots. You enjoying your life, maybe you may be living the career of your dreams, or living a happy life alone, is healing a lot of ancestral trauma. So it's not like you have to one day decide that you want to work on ancestral healing. I think that you just being yourself and you being in your authentic power is enough for you to heal ancestral or generational cycles of, and generational cycles of suffering. So I think a lot about how a lot of us maybe sometimes feel guilty for enjoying life sometimes, and or maybe don't allow ourselves to enjoy life in the everyday. But I think that the more we have fun and enjoy life and make and live the life of our dreams, the more we are healing that ancestral generational cycle of suffering and pain, because we're kind of heading, or I think we're heading towards a place where we don't have to learn from suffering and pain, and that we can live fully, we can all live happy and healthy lives the more we continue having these discussions. So I don't know how much time I have left, but let me see. Oh, it's about 20 minutes? Okay. So I'm going to end with one little thing about how we can do this work if we are really interested in it. And if you can't just join a cacao ceremony soon, or if you can't just join a group of people who are interested in healing and you want to do something on your own, I've heard about this meditation that you can do pretty much where you can just imagine yourself being on this one side of a bridge, and then imagine, even if you can't really see who your ancestors are, just imagine your ancestors being on the other side of the bridge, and just imagine both of you meeting halfway, and do this meditation often just to connect with who your ancestors might be, even if it is just your grandparents or your parents or whatever your lineage is. Try to kind of connect with and have that intention that you want to connect with your ancestors. And yeah, I think that's the one thing that I wanted to share. And know about your origins, know about your culture, know about where you come from, where your roots are. And the more you know about that, the more that you can use that wisdom in this present day for healing, and kind of just move that or to the future generations as well, which is the most important thing, just continuing this cycle of healing. So I would love to open up discussion about that now.